You know, there are some things in life that go together. Like, well, peanut butter and jelly. And there are some things that don't. Like knuckle couplers and horn couplers. They just don't go together. No matter how hard you try, they don't work. Hi guys, welcome back to Joe with Joe. I'm Joe. This is my Joe. This is little Joe. This is Joe's sandwich. So my question today is, if I'm at train shows buying older stock and newer stock together, can I use them together? Like, is there a way to use them together? Like, am I going to have to spend an absolute ton of money to change everything over? Do I have to run one or do I have to run the other? Is there a way I can do both? These are pretty interesting questions to ask Chris right here on the Mill Run in Western Maryland. So hop on. Need to catch up. So I got in front of me a piece of newer rolling stock, a piece of older rolling stock. So Chris, other than the obvious, what is so different about these two?
Right. Let's start with the older freight car here on the left. So we've got the obvious horn hook couplers, which is the older style. The horn hook couplers work just fine. The disadvantage to them is sometimes coupling up. They don't like the couple. They couple up kind of hard. Kind of have to bang the cars together.
Like real life.
Yeah, like real life. And the disadvantage, though, is getting them uncoupled. You oftentimes have to take the car off the layout in order to uncouple it.
I see that.
So the wheels and axles on most of the older freight cars are plastic. Whereas, like with this older freight car in particular, it's got metal axles and plastic wheels. The problem with plastic, they tend to pick up more dirt and grime, and they get the track dirty, and it causes more drag because your trucks are often plastic as well. So you have plastic wheels running in plastic trucks, which creates more drag, which means more work for your locomotive, which means less freight cars that your locomotive can pull.
So another thing about older rolling stock is truck-mounted couplers. And what that is literally where the coupler is mounted to the truck itself.
What are the advantages of this?
Well, the advantage on a manufacturer's standpoint is it's all one assembly, so it's cheaper to make. The disadvantage for the model railroader isn't so much pulling a freight car with truck-mounted couplers. It's when you get into the yard and you're pushing or switching your cars around, all the pressure is on the truck and the wheels themselves. So they tend to derail a lot in turnouts or in curves because you're trying to push that truck in a certain direction. Whereas a body-mounted coupler, you're pushing on the car. So at this point, all the pressure's on the freight car itself, and the wheels are just following the track like they should.
Now with the newer freight cars we have here, we have knuckle couplers, which are modeled after an actual knuckle coupler on a locomotive or a rolling stock in today's world. They have air lines on them. They have metal wheels with metal axles. Now these wheels are insulated one side to the other so it doesn't short your track out. They have the metal wheels running in the trucks, which creates less friction, less drag. They run cleaner because they don't pick up as much of the dirt and the grime like the plastic wheels do. So you have something that's running cleaner. It's got less drag, which means that they're easier to pull, which means you can have more freight cars behind your locomotive and a longer, more realistic train.
Now that you've explained the differences, am I doomed to play with one or the other? Or is there a way to upgrade?
Well, that question, Joe, actually brings me to my next point, and that is yes, you can upgrade your older rolling stock to knuckle couplers and metal wheels. I actually have 2 DIY videos on my channel covering each one of these subjects, and I'll link them in the description below. But if you don't want to change all your cars over at once, you can make yourself a conversion car. And what that is a freight car with horn hook couplers on one end and knuckle couplers on the other. You can place this car strategically in the train. Your modern knuckle couplers will hook up on one end and your older horn hook on the other. Then you can run them both in the same train.
So Chris, if you had to choose between changing all your cars over or the conversion car, which would you do?
Personally, I've changed all mine over. I just like the fact that I can hook up to anything and I don't have to think about what car is going to be there or hook up to what.
Okay, so what are the pros and cons of both?
Well, with the conversion car, the pro to it is the fact that it's cost effective. You can run what you got. You don't have to change it over all at once. It just makes you be able to spread the money out a little bit that way. The con is you always have to run that conversion car, and you got to think about where it's going to be, and you're going to have placement and all that. The pro to changing it all over, everything's going to hook up. You don't have to think about that. You don't have to have a certain car in the train at a certain place. And you're going to have the less drag with the wheels being changed over and so on. The con to that is the money factor. You're going to be spending a little bit more money on the knuckles and the wheels and the time changing it all over.
So you don't have to change things over if you don't want to. It all comes down to personal preference. You can keep things just the way they are and run them each line the same way, the horn hook all the way through, knuckle couplers all the way through, or you can have a conversion car and run them all together. It's nice to know that there are options out there that you can run old with new and new with old. Well, guess that's it. Remember, don't forget, the most important rule of model railroading: have fun. Catch you all next time, right here on the Mill Run in Western Maryland. Thank you for watching. Still for the news ketchup.
I'm surprised it wasn't cheese.
You got peace? Hey Chris, I had a question.
Yeah, you seem to have a lot of those.
Yeah, whatever. Is there a way you can change your DC to DCC?
Joe, do you watch any of my videos?
Yeah, so anyway, that's all folks.